The note was folded, so small I almost threw it away with the dust. Just 3 words written in shaky handwriting. Check the carpet. Under my husband's office carpet. At first, I laughed. Because the woman who left it? She was our maid. The one my husband had fired 2 weeks earlier for stealing. But something about the way she had looked at me that day, like she was trying to warn me, wouldn't leave my mind. So I lifted the corner of the carpet. And what I found underneath didn't just break my heart. It destroyed my marriage. Before we get into this story, take 1 second and hit subscribe. Because some betrayals, you truly have to hear to believe. My name is Amilea. I'm 32 years old. And until 3 months ago, I believed I had a perfect marriage. My husband Daniel and I had been together for 8 years. From the outside, we looked like one of those couples people envied. Nice house in the suburbs. Weekend dinners with friends. Vacation photos on social media where we were always smiling. Daniel worked in finance. Long hours, lots of important meetings. I worked from home doing freelance marketing. Our lives were comfortable, predictable, safe. Or at least, that's what I thought. 2 weeks before everything fell apart, Daniel came home furious. I remember the way he slammed the front door, so hard the hallway picture frames shook. "She's gone," he said. I looked up from my laptop. "Who's gone?" "The maid. Sophia. I fired her." I blinked. "Why?" "Because she's been stealing." The word hit me like cold water. Sophia had worked for us for almost a year. She was quiet, respectful, almost invisible most days. The idea of her stealing felt wrong. "Are you sure?" I asked carefully. Daniel scoffed. "Amilea, I literally caught her snooping around my office. She's lucky I didn't call the police." Something about the way he said it made my stomach tighten. But Daniel looked so certain. So angry. And I trusted my husband. So I didn't question it. When Sophia came the next morning to pick up her last paycheck, I opened the door. Her eyes looked red, like she hadn't slept. She didn't argue. Didn't beg. But before leaving, she looked straight at me. Not at Daniel. At me. And there was something in her expression I couldn't explain. Fear, mixed with urgency. "Mrs. Amilea," she said softly. Daniel stepped forward immediately. "That's enough. Leave." But just before she walked out, Sophia slipped something onto the hallway table. A tiny folded piece of paper. At the time, I thought it was trash. Daniel grabbed it quickly and crumpled it in his hand. Probably another excuse. I didn't think about it again. Until today. I was cleaning Daniel's office because he'd been traveling for 3 days. Dusting the shelves. Straightening papers. The usual. That's when I found the note. It had somehow fallen behind the small desk cabinet. My heart skipped when I recognized Sophia's handwriting. The paper trembled slightly in my fingers as I unfolded it. 3 short lines. "Mrs. Amilea, I didn't steal. Check under your husband's office carpet." At first, I just stared at it. My brain refused to process what I was reading. Under the carpet? Why would she say that? I told myself it was ridiculous. Maybe she was angry about being fired. Maybe she wanted to cause trouble between us. But the longer I stood there, the heavier the room felt. My eyes slowly moved to the large gray carpet covering most of the office floor. And suddenly, I remembered something strange. Daniel never let anyone clean this room. Not Sophia. Not even me. "Don't worry about my office," he always said. "I'll handle it." My pulse started to pound. The note crinkled in my hand as I walked toward the carpet. "Don't be stupid, Amilea," I whispered to myself. But my fingers were already reaching down. The corner lifted easily. Too easily. And underneath the carpet, there was a loose wooden floor panel. My breath stopped. Because taped to the underside of that panel was a thick envelope. And written across the front, in Daniel's handwriting, was a name I had never seen before. But the words underneath it made my entire body go cold. Monthly payment. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the envelope. For a moment, I just stared at it, my heart slamming against my ribs like it was trying to warn me not to open it. But curiosity is a dangerous thing when your gut already knows the truth. I pulled the envelope free from the tape and slowly opened it. Inside were stacks of cash. Thick bundles, rubber banded together. Way too much money to be sitting under a carpet. But that wasn't the part that made my stomach drop. It was the paper clipped to the front. A printed bank statement. Not Daniel's account. Not ours. A woman's name I'd never heard before. And right underneath it, a monthly transfer. $5,000. Every single month. My throat tightened as my eyes scanned the notes Daniel had scribbled in pen on the side of the page. Rent. School payment. Car insurance. My mind started racing. Why would my husband secretly pay another woman's rent? Her school? Her car? Unless. The thought hit me so hard I had to grab the desk to stay standing. Unless she wasn't just another woman. Unless she was family. My fingers trembled as I dug deeper into the envelope. Photos fell out. 3 of them. The first photo showed Daniel standing in front of a small house, with a young brunette woman wrapped around his arm. They were smiling. The kind of smile people wear when they belong together. The second photo made my knees buckle. Daniel was holding a little boy, maybe 4 years old. The child had Daniel's eyes. The third photo was the worst one. The boy sitting on Daniel's lap at a birthday party. A cake in front of them. Candles shaped like the number 4. On the cake, written in blue frosting. Happy birthday, Liam. Love, Daddy. Daddy. The word echoed in my head like a gunshot. I felt like the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of believing I was building a life with this man. And all along, he already had another one. I don't remember how long I sat on the office floor. But at some point, the tears stopped. And something colder took their place. Clarity. Because suddenly Sophia's note made perfect sense. She hadn't stolen anything. She had discovered Daniel's secret. And he fired her before she could tell me. But she found a way anyway. My hands slowly closed around the photos. Daniel thought he had buried his secret under that carpet. He forgot one thing. I'm not the quiet, blind wife he thought I was. So I made a plan. 3 days later, Daniel came home from his business trip. He walked in smiling, rolling his suitcase behind him. Hey babe, he said casually. Miss me? I smiled back. The same soft smile he'd seen 1,000 times. Oh, I did something while you were gone, I said. He loosened his tie. Oh yeah. Yeah. I invited some people over tonight. Daniel frowned slightly. People. Just a small dinner. He shrugged. Okay. That night, our dining table was full. But not with friends. Across from Daniel sat a divorce lawyer. Next to her, a private investigator. And at the end of the table, the woman from the photo. Daniel froze the second he saw her. The color drained from his face so fast it was almost impressive. Amilea, what is this? I leaned back calmly. For the first time in years, I felt completely in control. Funny story, I said softly. I was dusting your office. His eyes widened instantly. And I found something under the carpet. The room went silent. The woman beside him looked terrified. The investigator slid a folder across the table. Inside were copies of everything. The payments. The house. The child. The lies. Daniel's voice cracked. Amilea. I can explain. I shook my head slowly. No, I said quietly. You've been explaining for 8 years. Then I pushed the final paper toward him. Divorce papers. Already signed by me. His hands started trembling as he read. Because my lawyer had done something very thorough. Daniel hadn't just hidden another family. He had used our joint accounts to fund them. Which meant half of everything he secretly built now legally belonged to me. The house he bought for her? Mine. The savings account? Mine. Even the car payments? Mine. Daniel looked up at me like he was seeing a stranger. You're destroying my life. I held his gaze calmly. No, Daniel, I said. You did that all by yourself. 3 months later, the divorce was final. The woman left him. Apparently, men who lie to one family usually lie to the other too. And Sophia? I tracked her down. Turns out she had been scared to tell me the truth directly. So she left the note. I thanked her properly. And I gave her something Daniel never did. Respect. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the person sleeping beside you. But the truth has a funny way of surfacing, even if it's hidden under a carpet. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that the quiet woman people underestimate is usually the one who finishes the story. If this story shocked you, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the quietest revenge stories are the most powerful ones.